Hey, I'm Thomas Burlinson, and I'm here to talk about a time in my life where I had a project that I worked on as part of a team that had a successful result. The first thing that came to mind was my senior year of high school. I was part of an improv group called Kitsch, and Kitsch was a decade-long improv group. It's been running for years and years at my private school. And I was a huge fan of it. I was part of it for 3 years. I became the leader in my fourth year. And that's when I kind of took initiative with my team and made it a collaborative effort to make sure our shows were good. My goal was to make sure that our shows were funny and successful, and people went to them. I wanted people to experience the art that I loved so much. So me and my team felt the same way. So we tried to make sure that people went to our shows. The first thing that I did, my team, we decided on this to kind of garner attention from our school. My school wasn't that big. It was around 450 students. So everyone would see everybody at some point during the day. And this is what we tried to take advantage of or just kind of pounce upon. So the day before the show, we would wear all pink. Pink head to toe, pink socks, pink tutus, pink shirt, whatever, very, very bright pink. And when it had the words Kitsch on it. So if people would see that, they would make the connection between our clothing and the fact it's a Kitsch show that day, and people know what Kitsch is, but don't really always check their calendars. So if we have that shirt and they see it that day, most kids I know make an impulse decision, and they would decide to go to that show that night. And this worked out very well. We had around 250 people our first show, which is very good. But what I found more important was to retain those viewers, to make sure they kept going. So I made sure me and my team decided to meet a lot before our first show. We had a lot of practices before then, starting in the summer, and then our first show was in October. We had a lot of shows to make sure our first show was good, because first impressions, especially in improv, are everything. If you're not funny your first show, why would they bother to go to the second one? So we spent a lot of time honing our bonds between each other, making sure we can bounce off each other very well, and I do believe that it worked very well. On average, our shows averaged around 200 people per show. We had around 5 shows, our first being the most, but granted, we still averaged around 200, which I say would be definitely a success. So on the other hand, moving on, describing a time where I tackled a tough or unpopular assignment. This past year actually, or this past semester, I was the house manager for my fraternity, and it was definitely difficult. I took the job from someone else early on because they, either because of different circumstances or just didn't want to do it, they gave up the position, and I took it. And it was definitely a tough job, not what I expected to do, a lot of micromanaging. I had to, basically, it started in October. We had our new group of members join, and my goal was to make sure that they signed their lease for the house they'd be living in fall 2021. But with the COVID pandemic, all of this started in October, whereas when I was in the same house doing the same thing, it started in December. So I had to make sure that I knew everybody and they knew me, and I had to know their parents because I was talking to all their parents about money that they had to pay, thousands of dollars in security deposits I had to deal with, as well as working with the notorious 4-star on the Hill, which if you know anything, if you're educated at all about Boulder on the Hill housing, 4-star is this monopoly who are very, very difficult to talk to work with, definitely, and it was not easy. I've never been hung up before on the phone while trying to call a service line, ever. They just didn't pick up my call. Anyways, I was able to do that though. It was difficult. I had to talk to some parents, many of which knew a lot more than I did, so I had to learn very fast. Some of them are real estate agents. They would see the lease and they'd be appalled. I had to talk with them. I had to get some stuff clarified with the realtors. But overall, I think it was a success. And as of yesterday, I did completely finish the project, which is very, very satisfying. And I think I did a very good job handling this quite tough issue.